Welcome back, students, as we prepare for another episode of DC Graduates. I'm one of your teachers, your doctor recommended dose of nerdiness, aka your nerd today, Carlos Rodriguez. And as always, I'm with my teacher in crime. We're in the student lounge. No, teacher lounge, I guess, not the student lounge. Be weird if we were in the student lounge.
Break room. We're
Yeah,
hanging
break room.
out.
There we go. Sly, how are you today?
Time is fake. Nothing is real. Let's talk about some animated movies.
Damn right. And that movie we're talking about today is 2015's Justice League Throne of Atlantis. This was teased in 2 weeks ago at the end of Justice League War. It is a direct follow up from that. So this is really cool. We did have a movie in between that kind of told you some stuff of what's going on in DC AMU. But yeah, this is our direct follow up from that Easter egg ending. What is you before we filmed and you had a
Mhm.
catastrophe of internet just shit on you. You said as you were watching this, you realized you never watched it before?
Yeah, as I was going through, there was a specific character focus that you might notice as we go through these that was
Mhm.
kind of guiding me through everything. And I thought I had watched most of the Justice League titles in this universe. But I knew a couple of them had fallen through the cracks. Like, I'm not sure I saw Justice League Dark, and definitely the second Dark was past my time of watching. And um yeah, most of the things Suicide Squad and on, I just never got around to. But this is one that I thought I had probably seen, and I might have. Who knows? My
Yeah.
memory is shit. But usually when I'm watching these things and it's something I've seen before, I get like halfway through and I go, "Oh, I remember this. I know how it's gonna end." This whole time, I was very tired watching this, but B, I was so confused about every single person. For half the like opening, I thought that what's his face? Arthur was um Steve Trevor? Which he does make
Steve
appearance.
Trevor is
But
in this, I was gonna say. Yeah.
I was just so confused on who everybody was. And then I thought this was like Arthur's no, I thought this was Arthur's wife's son with a human, and that's who the main character. No, it's just Arthur.
It's just Arthur.
I was losing my shit during this movie. That's all I got for you, my dude.
It's like surprise, surprise, it ended up beating a white man. That's what this movie was. Um Sadly, I'm gonna I'll tee it up now and then we'll talk about it more because I think I came out more positive and I think this movie is good. I have seen this before,
Mm,
but I barely remember it, and that is not a good sign. It's a very forgettable movie.
yeah.
Unfortunately, especially when Aquaman gets the shaft and a lot of jokes in media. This is unfortunately, you know, the one of them.
And my thing is like with everything about who I am as a person, you would think that the Atlantean storylines would be something I super fucked with like that. Everything about it should be enticing to me, but I've found that even since I was really little, like most of the characterizations of all the Atlanteans are just obnoxious and didn't
Yeah.
like really vibe with me. And so like this is never something I've really invested a lot of brain space into. With the exception of Calderon. Love that kid. We'll
Love
we'll
him.
g- we'll
God
talk
damn.
about Young Justice and all that shit eventually. Kind of. We'll cover it, right?
Hmm.
We'll discuss.
We'll discuss.
Um,
We'll discuss.
but yeah, so like that being the like center with like um fucking Mantis and Manta, right?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
Manta.
you know what I meant.
Yep.
And all that, and like Orm and like the battle for power and shit. Like that can be cool and done well, and I think it was done fine here. I just it wasn't for me, and that doesn't mean it's bad, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's funny because this is coming off the heels of the successful relaunch of Jeff Johnson, Ivan Rice's New 52 series, Aquaman. And that series is amazing. Absolutely amazing. A lot of stuff that they touch upon this is basically from that series and a little bit of the Justice
Right.
League crossover at that time with some of the characters switched out. But pardon me. This movie does a really good job of like introducing the kind of the lore that we've come to get used to with Aquaman. Unfortunately, we've seen there, been there, done that, you know? And it's
Mhm.
interesting when you do kind of play around with in the live action verse. And one of the brilliant things that we saw, we kind of talked about this during Creature Commandos, is having Jason Momoa get cast as Aquaman, right? Because the second you do this,
Brilliant.
an Islander, you
Mhm.
know, it just clicks. It just makes sense. You're like, oh, yup, he should be an Islander. 100% he should be an Islander. Like it should have always been an Islander in one way, shape,
And,
or
like
form.
yeah, it's so much of the, like, what they attribute to, like, Atlantean, like, culture and society or whatever in DC universe specifically is like super derivative of Greeks, and I get why they go that route, but also it's another generic white dude that I could not figure out who it was for like the first
Yeah.
third of this movie, which is a, like, I having the like Pacific like Islander connection to the character adds so much more depth and characterization and
Hmm.
relatability, and that's specificality of having specific culture represented in that role. And we don't really get that here.
No, not much. They stick to the comics strictly. And it's not, you know, to the discredit, you know, me being a comic book fan as well, you know, of the series, Arthur Curry is an interesting character, you know, and he has been done right because of Jeff Johnson, the new 52. It's just the second that casting choice was made, it was like, oh, yeah, this always should have been like this. You know, I get it. You could have do it in the 40s, but like where we're at now, 2025, yeah, it should be like a brown dude or some kind of sort of brown dude, you know, so somewhere along there. You got to have some kind of island blood in you. It just makes sense, but that's not to discredit Matt Lanter, you know, one of the who does Arthur's voice in this, and he does bring a sense of duty to himself. Like once he finds out the truth, he kind of like jumps in head first, fin first, I guess, gills first. Um, but he is that like sullen, like drunk. He kind of plays a little bit of like Momoa, a little bit of the you know New 52 at the time, and then kind of brings something special of his own little Anakin ways that we've seen, you know, as Clone Wars fans. He does bring something special to the role of Arthur in here. It's just unfortunately just a honestly a forgettable movie, but that's not to deter you from listening to this rest of the episode. I think there are some good things, but
Right.
you'll see by the end of this episode why it's like, oh yeah, and then you just move on to other movies.
Hmm.
But moving
And that's the
on,
thing,
yeah, good.
the way this universe was structured and how they kind of staggered all of these releases
Mhm.
is we keep getting movies setting up each other but being interrupted by something in between. Like we have Justice League War and it's setting up Justice League Throne of Atlantis, but in between that we have Son of Batman, which is setting up Batman v Robin, which
Mm.
we'll talk about a little bit later. But having these jump cuts in between these interstitials, it creates kind of a disjointed experience when you're watching them back to back to back, like we
Yep.
are. Obviously, this is coming out over the span of like 3 years, so there's a little bit more grace in that, but uh, it would have been cool to be able to tell these stories a little bit more cohesively together. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, they obviously have a plan, but like animation takes a long time. You don't want to rush it because then you
Right.
get bad animation, and then that's all you're talking about, right?
Exactly.
Is just bad animation. You could kind of unfortunately rush a movie, and then you just talk about bad special effects, which still sucks. But like, at least there's a human element to
A little
you
bit
know?
more forgivable,
Yeah,
yeah.
obviously, yeah. But yeah, moving on. This was directed by Ethan Spalding, written by Heather Corson or Heath Corson. I don't know why I said Heather. Studio is WB Animation, as always, and stars Sean Astin reprising his role as Shazam, Rosario Dawson coming in as Wonder Woman, Nathan Fillion reprising his role as Hal, but the first time in his universe. Christopher Gorham reprising his role as Barry from the previous movies. Matt Lanter coming in as Arthur Curry's mentor Shamar Moore, reprising his role as Cyborg. Jerry O'Connell taking over for Alan Tudyk as Superman. Jason O'Mara, who is so good in this, coming in
Oh
as
yeah.
Batman, and then Andrea and Rosenbaum is in this. It is streaming on Max, which is nice, but still,
Little appearance. Yeah.
fuck David
Still,
Zaslav.
yeah. Fuck you. I hope your bed is always warm and you can never
Mhm.
get comfortable at night.
Oh, he can't. He's sleeping on a pile of gold, like fucking Scrooge McDuck. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing for us or him, but it is what it is for each
I
other.
don't know.
Sly, hit us with that plot recap.
All right, this one's a little convoluted, but stick with me.
Mhm.
In the aftermath of Justice League War, the world is at peace, or so it seems. When Atlantis attacks the metropolis for the death of their king, period. But the queen has different plans and requires the Justice League to find her lost son. But while they search for him, Atlantean troops, semicolon, led by Ocean Master, continued their assault. Who will win?
That is very convoluted. That's the problem when you don't get like a user
Uh-huh.
generated one. We need something in the middle. As like we need that, that user
Yeah.
generated, but not like a whole synopsis like last week we got.
Uh-huh.
It is with those comic book characters.
All right, so this version of the Justice League, we've got Shazam, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, the Howl's version, Flash, Barry, Aquaman, Cyborg, Superman, Batman, and then other folks we got Steve Trevor makes an appearance, Jimmy Olsen, who I completely missed. Lois was in there, Lex was in there, and then on the Atlantean side we have Mera, Orm, Queen Atlanta, Black Manta, and Dr. Shin.
Yep.
We're getting all the universes in here.
Yeah, we really it
They
is
just
a lot
threw
of deep cut,
fucking everybody.
which they did a pretty good job of throwing so many people at you in an hour and 15
Uh-huh.
minutes. I will give them that credit because again,
Absolutely.
it did
Yeah.
feel like overload. It's like, oh, this is a natural breathing world. Of course, Lois. We're gonna see Lois. Of course, we're gonna see Jimmy. General Lane is in it for a brief second.
Oh yeah, fucking
Yeah,
I had a note about him.
yeah, but that's it does a pretty good job of doing that. Um, let's move on to the Andrea Romano roundup. As always, we like to shout out our voice director, queen herself, Andrea Romano, who has a small role in this. Let's start with Aquaman. Let's talk about how badass he is, because he truly is. Like again, we talk about him getting the shaft so much times, and there's a whole season or two subplot in Entourage about an Aquaman movie that's gonna suck or whatever. Like that's
I've never seen Entourage.
Oh, so I've seen bits and pieces. I've not seen everything. And it's supposed
Uh-huh.
to loosely be based off Mark Wahlberg's life, minus the racism in the beginning, in the early
Okay.
part of his life. There's no racism. He didn't attack no, Vietnamese people for no reason and go to jail. Listen, he's a changed man.
Ignoring
According to
that.
him, he goes to church
Okay.
like twice a day. In the morning, he goes like 5 o'clock. He wakes up, works out, goes to church, prays. I don't know. He has a whole crazy schedule. You gotta watch him men's health. Anyway, it's kind of loosely based on that. And the actor who plays, the stand-in for Mark Wahlberg in this modern day
Uh-huh.
adaptation of his life, gets a possible role from DC. Like, listen, we're gonna go big. We're trying to
Mm.
bring back our superheroes. Can you be our Aquaman? And they talk about like, yo, Aquaman sucks. All this other stuff, like the super friends. He talks to fish. Blah 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 blah. All this other bullshit. And so it becomes like I think 1 or 2 seasons worth of like just shit. They shit on Aquaman. I don't know if they even show him in the suit. The guy, he would have been good as Aquaman probably. But this was pre New 52, so Aquaman was weird. He
Mhm.
had like one hand, it was a water hand, it was magic, then it was a hook, and then all this other. He died. He was Cthulhu. He was not Cthulhu. You know, comic books are weird.
Speaking
Anyway,
of racist.
yeah, exactly. But
Sorry,
it's
not to do
no,
that.
that is hilarious. But yeah, no, it was like this whole. He was like a laughing stock, and for many of us
Yeah.
growing up and watching reruns, like myself at least, or someone of our age, group like me. Um, Super Friends was
I
like a
like how you
big
said
thing.
our age
And
group.
I was like, nope,
I'll take
you
it.
you've always had a badass Aquaman. That's not fair. We've had the shitty one riding a
Yeah.
seahorse.
And that's the thing is Aquaman. My opinion of Aquaman as a weebab, as a small child, is that he was always very cool, very powerful, but very stoic. He didn't have really a kid appeal. He felt like it was one of those characters that was meant to be appreciated by the adults. And
Mhm.
like he had a badass like action figure for like the JLU set, right?
Yeah, he had the hook. Yeah, he
And
had the
yeah, he was really cool. He had great powers. The way he moves through the water, like, I grew up on boats, on lakes, swimming. Like I swam competitively in high school. I like very much fish child. Like I love being in the water. So like everything about him seems cool, but like there was always this personality disconnect, and that was always the sticking point for me. It had nothing to do with like who he is as a character. Like you said, he's fucking badass. He's awesome. He's in everything I've ever seen.
yeah.
For the most part, he's been really strong, really powerful, regal king, ruler of this nation, like protector of his people, with some badass trident and spearing people and water manipulation. So yeah, no, like he's awesome. He's just never really connected with me on like a deep level as some of these other characters have that
Yeah.
become my entire personality.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Like watching this and being a fan of Justice League Unlimited, and he pops up in that and like Superman anime series and stuff like that. I will go out on a limb, and I've said this before when it came to Robin. I don't think there's a bad
Mhm.
portrayal of Aquaman in media. I think there's a bad actor who's ever played him.
Right.
I think everyone's done an incredible job with what they're given. Unfortunately, sometimes you're given shit. Uh, you know, i.e. Super
Yeah.
Friends. It's very like Silver Age comic book, so that shit was like wacky, weird, and anything like that. So no knock to that actor. You move on to the 90s and you got, he's in this transition period where it's about them about to make him all edgy for no reason and cut off his hand. And I mean, it is a cool hook. It is a cool action
Right.
figure that happens. It's a cool storyline. Especially Manta being the one to do it and, or set him up and stuff. Like it shows like the rivalry and stuff like that. And the actor who did in Justice League Unlimited was really good. There's a failed pilot back in the day for a show called Mercy Reef. I think it's on one of those box sets for Smallville. You can find it online. I think it's on YouTube or whatever. Starring Justin Hartley from This Is Us. He's on Tracker now. He was in the Smallville universe as Green Arrow, but it was like setting up hey, Smallville's a hit. We can't use Batman. What other DC characters can we do in this like young age gap? Like seeing them kind of grow up. Oh, let's try Aquaman. Like he had a one episode one off in Smallville with Alan Richardson, who is currently our Jack Reacher. He's also played a shitload of DC characters for some reason in live action. It's like he might be up for Batman, so he might do the oh no, my camera. He might do the hat trick
Just
and
happens.
it happens every time. He might do the hat trick and actually end up being our Batman. But yeah, he, did a one
That'd
really
be
good
dope.
episode. Yeah, because he's built like a brick shit house and he's actually a nice dude. And also Jack Reacher kind of autistic coded as well. As we mentioned, Batman is because he's very stoic, like he's very like
Oh
angry,
yeah.
uses
Yeah.
it. If he has to use his muscles, he will, but rarely he can use his mind.
Mhm.
Um, but it's just weird, anything they do with Aquaman has been weird throughout history, when it comes to either live action or any other media outside of comic, even in comic books. So Richardson shows up one episode of Smallville. They set him up, does a pretty good job. He's built, but he's not built like a brick shit out like he is now. He's very model chic, like very thin and
Mm. Mhm.
muscular. Does really good. And they were like, yeah, you know what? Aquaman really did good in this episode. Let's make an Aquaman show. Oh, how about the kid nah, fine, fuck him. He doesn't need to be in this show. Let's cast Justin Hartley. This guy who's on like some soap opera and is doing pretty good in there. But what about the guy? Don't worry about him. It doesn't matter. Everyone's gonna think about the guy we saw in Smallville. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. Like you just keep doing these things. And it's
Yeah.
really funny. And then this is brilliant casting back in the day with that Mercy Reef show. Again, a whole hour of television. It's online. You can watch this pilot episode. They just released it to the public. Finally after all these
Incredible.
years. And Lou Diamond Phillips plays his dad, the
Okay.
lighthouse guy. So this is now a person of color playing, you know, Arthur Curry's dad. He's like a police chief or some shit. They changed his job title for some reason, but he has his thing with Atlanta and everything like that. But Justin Hartley, if you know This Is Us, Smallville, his role as Oliver Queen in that, or Tracker, I've really described just the most generic, very beautiful white man you can think of. Again, Lou Diamond
Very
Phillips is
pretty.
his dad in this. Noted Filipino actor Lou Diamond
Uh-huh.
Phillips is playing his dad. There's not an inch of brown in this kid. You know, like how white are the
Listen,
Atlanteans?
sometimes the mixed kids come out very pale, you know?
That's very true.
It happens.
It could happen in society. That is true. Genetics is weird, but like, are the Atlanteans like DNA? I guess their DNA is that strong and that pale that they just supersede any
Apparently.
human DNA.
Yeah.
I don't know. We
But,
never see
like,
his
if we're
mom.
talking about people who have evolved to live at the bottom of the ocean, first of all, they wouldn't be pale. Like,
No.
scientifically, like, that makes 0 fucking sense.
Yeah.
It's just because
Exactly.
they want white people, but that's dumb.
Ex-
But also speaking of racism, we talked about this,
mhm.
recently on, Conservative Sundays with JJ. I can't remember how it came up, but we were talking about, like, casting and
Mhm.
how lately there's been this huge trend of casting, like, mainland people, like, people from, like, mainland China or whatever to play Pacific Islander roles, and that also doesn't work. Like,
No. No.
just because they have a hint of color in them doesn't mean they're representing the communities that you
No.
claim they are.
No.
So,
No. No.
like, also be mindful with your casting, y'all. Like,
Yeah,
it's
they
not
they
that hard.
they have to be from the island. Like they have
Right.
to like have some connection to Hawaii or something like that. Like to be like it's cool if you're that race and you just hey, I grew up in Hawaii my whole life. Perfect. You're gonna represent this role perfectly. Thank you so much for being on Hawaii Five O. I don't whatever show we're talking about. Or God, Baywatch Hawaii.
Stop
Um,
fucking setting shows in Hawaii and not casting a single Kanaka Maoli on it. It drives me crazy.
it's very
Anyways,
rare. Or it's
I've already
one.
had this rant this week. We
Or
gotta
it's
move
one.
on.
That's it. Yeah. But yeah, so you get this, and the pilot shows, and it's not great. It doesn't have the stuff that like Smallville did.
Right.
Something that would make sense. It makes sense. It doesn't air. You get Alan Richardson a couple more times in Smallville as they set up the Justice League in that universe, and then finally, yeah, you get what we have now, as in Jason Momoa, his tenure as Aquaman. I think he did a really good job of blending the badass that was Jeff Johns and Iron Rice's restart and the history that came with it. And he also has this, when you see him in Justice League, he's very stoic, very kind of angry, especially in the Zack Snyderverse. And then he opens
Mhm,
up. In the Joss Whedon version, he opens up a little quicker than that. He's a little goofy, which kind of makes sense. It really does. Like
mhm.
he should be a little bit of a
Yeah.
weirdo.
If you were
Like,
surrounded by those truckle fucks, you would also be
yeah,
like, "Alright, we gotta pull it together."
yeah, exactly. And yeah, something about Momoa brought like a new level to Aquaman that really just made sense. And I think when you cast someone as big as Momoa, like the dude's just stocky as fuck, right? Then you
Giant.
understand his power set, right? When you see
Right.
Superman, you get it. He can be small, he can be big, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
He's an alien. So in your brain, he's like, whatever. When you see someone who's earth based, of course he's magic based, or he's from this ancient land, he lives in under the ocean. Um, his power set makes sense though. Really, he has dense skin. He can't be stabbed by
Mhm.
conventional weapons. He bullets bounce off of him. It hurts like a motherfucker and he'll bruise, but like he's not gonna
Right.
die. He's strong as shit, fast as shit, because he has to be. Yeah, he needs water, but not like it's not like, oh my god, you know, I need water 24/7 or I will die. Like, no, that's stupid as shit.
Right.
Throw him in the desert. Yeah, he's fucked. It makes sense. But like there is certain things that kind of make sense when you see his character. And when you see some, not to shit on Justin Hartley, not to shit on Alan Richardson at the time, when you see some normal looking dude, I guess kind
Mhm.
of hard for your brain to disconnect. Or like, oh, I don't know, he's just whatever.
He's
and
supposed
not
to be
being an
this
alien.
all powerful, regal king,
Mhm.
protector of his people, like champion of his people as well. And for it to just be like just another dude, like it can work if they have this like air of regality to them, but to have this visual indicator of somebody who is as wide and as buff as Momoa, that brings this gravitas to his physicality that's just innately there that you can't always get with other actors, right?
Yeah, no, it's very true, and I think another thing too that brings, when we can move on here too as well, because Aquaman is
Mhm.
badass, but he's not as bad as his wife, Mera.
Correct.
And she
Correct.
has, an otherness to her, right? Because she's magic
Uh-huh.
based, because she's from Zebel. She does have that kind of magic base. She doesn't need a trident to do magic. She just naturally is magic. It shows a different way. So you get like they could be any body shape, it doesn't matter. You get this air of, oh yeah, she's a badass. We see her fight. She's strong, fast, whatever, but she's also magic.
Mhm.
Connection, there's no disbelief there. Like you have it. Um, and then even to speak of another person from Zebel, Calder, when you see him, his gills are a little bigger. His fingers, I believe, are webbed a little bit, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so he
Just
looks,
to like the first joint or whatever, I
yeah,
think.
he looks different. Like he does look like physically different from anybody else.
Mhm.
And that could be the mix of Zebel and human DNA. Manta being his dad. I forget his mother's name, but she's from Zebel. He has the magic. He also has his look that is unlike anything, whether it be comic books or Young Justice, like this bleach blonde hair or dreads, either
Mhm.
this like
Yeah.
shortcut or dreads, these piercing blue eyes of like a fish. Like he has like fish eyes, like where
Yeah.
they can see underwater. And
Gorgeous.
yeah, these big gills, and then he really brings like a regality to him, even though he's not noble in any sense of the word. He does have
Right.
this air of like not betterness, but he has this air of like regality to him that Arthur
Mhm.
kind of has, but he also is his asshole from fucking Mercy Reef who drinks like a fish, no pun intended, and
Right.
also likes to hang out with his boys that happens to be a king. And Mara is
Uh-huh.
a queen through and through, so she has that regality.
Right.
But something about Zebel, man, they bring this regality to them, and Caldern has always been, portrayed in that way. And even when he's like joking around with the Justice team, Teen Titans, whatever team he may be in the comics or other media, he still is like very fun to watch. It's funny as I'm
And
talking
his
about
just
this,
like
I'm thinking the Aquaman family might be more interesting than Aquaman, like we talked last week. I
yeah.
love Superman, but
Correct.
Connor's really cool. Kara's
Uh-huh.
awesome,
Yeah.
Batman is really cool, but Dick is awesome. Jason is
Uh-huh.
awesome. Stephanie is awesome. Tim is awesome. Damien is awesome. Like these other Wally's my favorite Flash, not Barry.
Mhm.
Like you start thinking about
Facts.
it, and it's like maybe the families are a little more interesting than the actual characters they're based off of.
And I think they have a little bit more freedom to play with the families
Yeah.
because while they do, especially in DC, have a tendency to reset these characters and their backstories a little bit more often, there is sort of kind of agreed upon structure and requirements of all of these big name characters. They are their flagship, like these are what's representing
Mhm.
like DC as a whole. But people who are writing their families get a little bit more loosey goosey, get a little bit
Mhm.
more wiggle room. And I think that's why we get so much more intriguing stories out of the families. And yeah, I love Calder and I love the way they balance that regality that we were talking about, but also this like stillness, this quietness, this thoughtfulness that you could really see in him, where he's really internalizing everything before he responds, which is very different than what we get to see in like an Arthur who is like a little bit more bombastic, I guess.
Mhm. Mhm. And another interesting thing that we do in that series, specifically Young Justice, is we allow the characters to grow, which is something the comics really
Yeah.
don't let them do to a certain extent. Again, we've talked about ad nauseum how Marvel
How many
won't let.
decades have
Oh yeah,
Tim be 17 or 16 or whatever?
yeah, he's still like early 20s, I think, at this point, maybe 20, not even 21.
Finally, they just Yeah, like, he was, like, capped at 17 for, like, 20 years or something.
Exactly.
They just let him go to
The
college, like,
co
young college,
Yeah,
that's
Connor
it.
makes sense because he's a fucking clone. He could look 17 for the rest of
Right.
his goddamn life, but, like, Tim, it really doesn't, Cassie, it really doesn't. But when you get that series and, there's a time jumps within, those seasons, they really play with that, and they were able to do something that's really interesting with those characters because you have an Arthur who was able to be like, "I really have a hard time balancing being a hero and a king and a husband. Now I can just focus on being husband and king." And Calder's being like, "No, you got to be part of the justice." Like, "No, you are. I've literally been training this for you." Where the other mentors, you get like, I don't know if like, or if even Clark knows that if he's gonna let Connor be on the Justice League proper, but he's like, "Hey, you can be part of the team,
Right.
absolutely." You have Nightwing, who kind of like,
Mhm.
"Hey, I'm not gonna be in the league, but I'm also not gonna do this. I'm kind of in between. I'm doing my own thing." But you have Calder who Aquaman's like, "No, man, I want this for you. I want you to be part of the Justice League. And shit, you should lead the Justice League." Like he's leader by the near the end of that
Uh-huh.
series for a little bit. And they show a growth and Arthur's fine. He doesn't have to die. He can just be a dad and be a
He's
king
like,
and stay home at
"I
Mera.
haven't known work-life balance in decades, like, I get to take some time off and, like, rule my country and, like, spend time with my family, like, sign me up,"
Yeah,
which is not something we see with, like, any other
anyone, and
of the
it like,
mentor
oh
figures.
man, if shit gets really, really bad, I'll step in, but if not, I
Right.
trust you got this. I'm only here
Mhm.
literally for support. If y'all need another heavy hitter, I'm here. Mara's here.
Uh-huh.
But worst case scenario, you got this Calder. Like we don't have to worry about it. Like it's very cool to see with that character and how they build upon that universe. Because you know, how many times have we talked about this show, even though it being a DC show,
Uh-huh.
Spider-Man doesn't get to like be married anymore. He doesn't get to have
No.
kids unless you watch other
Just to
universes.
get to be happy.
No, not even the
Ever.
slightest bit. Like life could be rough, man, but Jesus, let him have a
Yeah.
wife. Let him and Mary J be together. Let him have a kid. There's so many interesting stories you could tell from there.
Yeah.
Like without people dying as well. Like he could
Mhm.
be somewhat happy and be like, "Man, I just lost my job again, and we I don't know where we're gonna
Right.
live. We gotta live with Aunt May for a little bit. This is great. That's a crazy
Mhm.
storyline. Give me a year of that. That's fine. Whatever. I don't care." That show did something that no other thing in comics was able to do, and the only other thing that's, again, not DC related that I've seen do, and spoilers for this game, is Marvel Spider-Man on PlayStation.
Mm.
Spider-Man 2.
Mhm. Yeah.
Miles Morales, and then Spider-Man 2 was able to grow that character of Peter to a point where he steps away. And he gives Miles the keys to the city, basically. You are Spider-Man. I'm here if shit gets crazy, but don't call me. You got this. I trust you. I'm gonna be with this girl because I need to figure
Mhm.
this shit out. This is bad. I need a
Right.
wife. I need someone in my life. Like, we don't get that. And it's funny because Aquaman, at least comic book wise, is the only one who kind of gets to grow. Because I guess there's
Mhm.
not pressure, from him. He's not part of the big three.
Right.
He's not, he's on the outskirts. Barry gets to grow. Barry gets to have a
Mhm.
family. Wally gets to have a family. Kyle gets to do his own thing in space. Hal kind of gets to do some more stuff. Like the closer you get to the big three, the less shit you get to do, in the Justice
Right.
League. But then
Like,
you
can you
have these moments.
imagine Oliver Queen entrusting any of his children to take over for him?
God, no, he's such a narcissist. He would never,
Never.
never. No, a capable son and Connor Hawk? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Jesus Christ, that dude. I love him to death. He's such an asshole. But yeah, you
Love
don't
him
get
to
that.
death, fucking hate him at
Yeah,
the same time, right?
he's such an asshole. God damn. Just let Roy be Roy. Leave him alone for a little bit.
Right.
Tell him you love
Maybe
him. How about
support
that?
your child instead of kicking him out at the slightest hint of trauma. Anyways,
Jesus, even
this
Bruce
is
wouldn't
not
do
a
that.
Green Lantern
No,
or Green Arrow fucking podcast.
no, no. But it's funny, like, since Arthur is so far away from the big three, and it just in relatively Justice League stuff, he gets to do stuff, but he gets to
Mhm,
grow. He gets to have Mera in the comics, He doesn't get to quit, I mean, we have 2 Aquaman now, which is nice. Calder is
uh-huh,
Aquaman in the DC universe, alongside Arthur being Aquaman. Arthur has his own storylines and everything like that. So does Jackson or Calder. and they get to grow, and Mera gets to grow and everything like that. But it is it's a blessing that they're not so close to the universe that
Right.
and they get to show how badass they are. Like we mentioned, Mera,
Uh-huh.
queen or soon to be queen in this universe. She is
Uh-huh.
so fucking cool. She's so
Yeah, like
goddamn cool.
captain of the guard basically,
Mhm.
like defender of the throne. She is like the voice of the people of the kingdom. She she's doing so much while also having some incredibly badass motherfucking fight scenes. God, I love her so much. She
And her
was
power
perfect. I
yeah,
have
her
no
power
notes on
set's
her.
cool. Yeah, everything about her is just awesome, which sucked live action wise when we got, the person cast as Mera. There was hope there, and then, she shit the bed, literally and figuratively. Uh, you gotta read that court case, Sly. You gotta read that court case.
I will. That'll be a later project.
Yeah, that's your side project. That's everyone's side project. Read the Johnny Depp Amber Heard court case verbatim.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But no, she did what she could in the role. It's just I don't. That's one of the ones where I was like, I don't think she was cast properly. There's so many other.
Mhm.
Who played Mockingbird in Agents of Shield? Would have killed it as
Oh
Mara.
yeah.
Was it Adrian Palicki or Palicki or something like that?
She was incredible. I have no idea
Played Wonder Woman
what
too in a failed
her
pilot as well.
name.
But yes, like she would have
Adrian.
been amazing as Mara. Someone like that, someone that brings that kind of badass nature to them. Um,
Adrian
Palicki?
Palicki?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, she was incredible. I loved her. She was wow, amazing. Yeah, that would have been a great pull.
yeah. Even in that's even the talk about failed pilots. There's a Wonder Woman pilot with her as Wonder Woman. She's not the worst part of that movie. Like that suits the bad
Mhm.
part. The acting is pretty bad because they have bad direction from everyone giving them direction. Because you got amazing actors in that show, but Jesus Christ. But that's beside the point. We should do. That's what we should do. That's a bonus episode down the line. If you guys give us money, and we'll do all the failed pilots.
Tracy Toms was in the live action 2011 Wonder Woman.
Yes, yes, she was. Yeah,
Okay, we gotta watch it. That might be
slide,
our bonus episode.
slide. That is. I'm telling you right now. And something else. There's a lot of weird talk in that. There's a lot of boob jokes.
Okay.
Carrie Ellis is in it, which is
Alright.
awesome. Pedro Pascal's in it, which is
Uh-huh.
funny enough. He becomes Maxwell Lord later on in life. But yeah, it was really cool to see Mara, and she got enough screen time alongside Arthur, which was really nice to see. Like
Yeah.
they got equal footing, and she was given a prominent role because before we saw this, of course, she got her head chopped off by Wonder Woman, in the Flashpoint universe.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, that was rough.
yeah, that was rough.
R.I.P.
Moving on. This is a little Easter egg for what happens early in the movie, and then kind of continue on what's going to be our next movie in Homeroom, but or homework for next week. But you sent this in our DC chat on Discord.
Uh-huh.
There's a 45
Yes,
second
I
short. I
did.
watched it called Nightwing and
Uh-huh.
Robin, and
Uh-huh.
it's set during Batman fighting, Scarecrow's thugs, and
Uh-huh.
alongside Hal,
It's
and he has got
set
to go.
yeah, right after Hal fucks everything up and says, "We gotta get this back to HQ," right? And it's literally just like 45 seconds of Batman being like, I gotta call in backup. And then we see Nightwing and Damian as Robin punch up some goons in a warehouse, as you do.
Yep.
You know, right? On brand. They're very in sync. Love that for them. The best, Batman Robin combo we get, like we discussed.
Hmm.
And then at the end of it, we get a pop-up of a character that will be very important next week
Yep.
in Talon. So that'll be fun.
That was it.
I hope you're prepared for how much that will emotionally destroy me. Cause that anything tangentially related to Court of Owls gets me every time.
That's
And
so good.
here's the thing. I'll talk about it next week, but the fact that we haven't had like a real proper, like true Court of Owls run into one of these movies is still my biggest letdown from this universe as a whole.
No, Yeah, there's so many, and you get hints of stuff, and you're like, "Is it gonna be?" So many people are so
Yeah.
furiously want the Court of Owls. One of the best things the New 52 did was introduce that in that first storyline with Batman. Best villain introduction I've ever seen in any comic book ever in my life. Anything
Hey,
like that.
Carlos.
Yeah,
You know what does a really good job with Court of Owls?
is it Gotham?
Gotham Knights.
Gotham. God damn it. All right, wait, are you talking about the show or the game? Because they both deal with the
The
Talon.
show.
God damn it.
I haven't played the game because I can't get
Oh,
past
that's
the
right.
funeral before it crashes on my PS5. I've tried 50 times to play that game.
I love how borked that fucking game is for you. Jesus Christ. Yeah,
I
no, Court of
have
Owls are in that.
reset
I thought you were gonna say
everything. I've
Gotham because I know they're in
undownloaded it.
Gotham.
Yeah, no, Gotham Knights, the TV show, 2024. Shout out, my beloved.
Fucking
It's
show.
a really fun Court of Owls storyline.
That's what we're gonna talk about next week. All the failed Court of Owls storylines.
All of them. Let's
And all
do it.
that's how bad, how furiously people want it, because people want it so bad in Patterson's universe. And they're like,
Yeah.
any hit. I thought I heard someone say owl. That's enough for me.
Uh huh.
Like,
That would actually work really well in what they set up in his
oh
universe.
yeah, 100%.
It
Oh
would
my
fit
god.
really good. Oh
Yeah, it really
god,
would.
I would eat
That
that
I think
shit
that's
up.
why people want that in that one specifically.
Yeah, we gotta do
Um,
the like the dining table with all the rich fucks and the.
God, that would be so good.
Okay, that's next week. Next week we'll
Of
talk
course.
about it soon.
But yeah, you can find this short online. We'll link it in this
Mhm.
episode. But yeah, it was pretty
We
cool. It was really
will.
cool seeing I love Nightwing's costume. I said about the new 52 costumes, especially the Bat Family, having like the armor plating and the rivets. Like they look like drilled on
Yeah.
like into
Uh-huh.
armor. It's really cool. I like it. Also his little utility belt. He doesn't usually get that as
Mhm.
Nightwing. I kinda like it. I like his little belt. But yeah.
Not to give us yet another tangent,
Mhm.
but do you want to talk about another costume that we saw this week?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So in our Discord chat for the show, Carlos sent me like 3 images of like concept art with
Yes.
no context, saying, "What are your thoughts?" And they were great. I was into it. I dug it. I thought it was cool. I again, speaking of utility belts, I fucking loved the utility belt design in this.
Yes.
And then a couple days later, I was chatting once again with JJ on Served Up Sundays. I was like, "Hey, did you hear about this new Matt Fraction run?" And I went, "What?" Only to find out it was the same concept art that somebody had sent me earlier in the week.
Yep.
Anyways, I'm thrilled. I thought it was great. You didn't share your thoughts about it with me, so I'd love to know what you thought about it.
I honestly, I think it looks amazing. I think it's one of the best looking bats we've gotten. It's been a long time since we got blue. Pardon me, I don't know why I said green.
Yeah.
Blue on Batman for a long time. So it is well, like it's well received. I really liked it. The new bat design is really cool. Um, yeah, I don't that the newness of the costume, aka the oldness of the costume, like bringing back the blue,
Right.
threw me off so much that I totally forgot that Matt Fraction was right in that. I was like,
And
oh,
it's
stuff.
Jorge Jimenez
Yes,
is
yes,
doing
he
the
is the
art
artist.
for it. It's incredible.
Designed
And
the suit.
also, we were talking about how Gotham's never really had like an iconic skyline. Like you can think of like Metropolis has a iconic
Hmm.
skyline, like Manhattan and like various parts of like New York have like all of their different, like Seattle has like iconic skyline, but we've never really gotten like a true iconic skyline in any like DC like properties in Gotham. And we got like 2 hints at the skyline, and I think they might give us like a really cool, badass, like iconic skyline
Yeah,
shot, and I'm gonna eat that shit up.
it's much needed after every time. But yes,
Hmm.
that's a little costume, new DC news whatever you want to call it, tangent. Yeah, it is really cool. You should seek it out. I saw it on
This will be like a
bleedingcool.com.
month out of date by the time this
I
posts, but
know.
it's fine.
Like, oh, there's a new there's gotta be someone who's like, there's a new costume. That's cool.
Yeah, if that's you, shout out.
Yeah.
I was gonna say tweet at us, but we're not on Twitter. Message us on any social media platform. We're around.
Yeah, yeah,
Let us
blue
know.
sky. Yeah, well, let us know. Let us know.
Yeah.
All right. So finally, anything you want to shout out specifically about the movie?
Yeah. We got some more of the Diana Clark relationship,
Yes.
which again, I don't think it works as a couple. I do like it as a throuple, but I feel like they're missing a little bit of something without Bruce in the mix, but that's
Mm-hmm.
fine, whatever. My favorite thing about this iteration and portrayal about the Justice League in general, they're all fucking nerds.
Oh
This
yeah.
is like the nerdiest, like they lean into it. They're smart, they're intelligent, they're powerful, they're strong. But at their core, all of these motherfuckers are nerds. And I think that's why it resonated so much, especially with younger kids when these were releasing. Like, I feel like I was like the perfect target audience for all of these movies, right? And it really helped that all of these characters at their core had something that was so relatable to anybody who was like a nerdy ass comic book fan, right? Um the fight scenes were cool. I wanted to see more how they played with the like land versus water of it all. We didn't get a
Mm.
lot of that. I
Mm-hmm.
thought they could have leaned into that a little bit more. Um Clark, no, that was a Bruce line. I don't think you put it in the drama class. I had an iconic line where Clark was like, I'm the investigative journalist or whatever, and Batman just goes, journalism's dead.
Yeah. What a dick thing to say. There's no point.
What an asshole. I love him so much. And then I realized that I had never seen this. We got, as we mentioned, General Wayne was out there, got shit wrecked, but he was there. They fucked up my boy Vic. Ouch, that
That
hurt
looks so
me
painful.
personally. It's very personal, but I do love. We've seen so much of it in the most recent stuff. We've been getting a lot of Shazam. I didn't realize how much Shazam was like featured in all of the things we've been covering for the past couple
Yeah.
months, but he's been there. But I love how much, especially in this universe, he's just like Victor's like biggest hype man. He's like,
Yes.
that's my like childhood idol. Like I'm gonna hype you
Victory.
up. Like
Victory. I like-
like go get your girl. Like I love their relationship. That's hilarious. Um, and then we got Lex at the very end talking to Orm, which is, setting up the future. I also had a note about Lagon, the other Aquaman.
Oh yes.
hmm
Yeah, he's
He
alright.
can be like awful or pretty cool. I
Yeah,
feel
there's
like
no in
there's no in
between.
between with him.
No.
Yeah.
No, he's
Like
always
is
he's
it
kind of an asshole or he's like, eh.
he's the one in a like polyamorous like relationship, like super bi. Love that for him.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
also when he's like in younger iterations, he's like a fucking asshole. I'm like, I hate you.
Yeah, 100% when he's like him and McGann are together at Young Justice. Just
Yeah.
flaunting in front of Connor's face. It's like, dude, chill.
Yeah.
You're
Dude.
doing this on purpose. Like he can heat vision
Uh-huh.
you. Stop. Stop it.
And he should. I
His dad's
support.
Lex Luthor. Like, don't
Yeah.
do that.
I support Cod specifically, his wrongs. His
Yes.
life's fucked up.
Yeah,
Imagine
he
just
gets a
like being
pass.
uh, pulled out of the fucking like synthetic womb at like 5 and expected to be a normal human about it.
Yep.
With again, Lex as a parent. Like those genetics, Lena Luthor, I love you so much. Your genetics are fucked. Like you
God.
had no chance.
God, they're so fucked up. Yeah, it's like, oh, hey, this my one dad definitely wants me, but he wants to take advantage of me and like use my
Mhm.
power. And the other dad kind of doesn't is a little afraid of
Hates
me
my
because
guts.
this is weirded out by me because he didn't know when someone took his DNA against his will, which makes sense.
Which yeah, like
And then he warms up to it.
I'm not going to be a Clark defender, but if somebody takes your DNA without your consent and then uses it to like low key reproduce with you again against like without your consent, that is fucked up and traumatizing. However, maybe don't take it out on the child
Yeah,
who
he did
had no
nothing
say in
wrong.
it and just needs the family.
He does
Uh,
apologize, which is nice, and then he's his best man at his wedding and all this other stuff. But it is really like very human of Clark in the very beginning of that series to
uh-huh.
be like, I
Oh
want nothing
yeah.
to do with this. I need to go.
Right.
I gotta run away
It's
from my
like,
problems.
"Imma fuck off, not my problem. Okay, bye, good luck."
You'll figure it out. You're super strong. You got this. Do you think though,
Anyways,
one more tangent before we move on.
yeah.
Do you think though, in that, Clark had to talk to like Lois, Diana, and Bruce about what was going on, the Cadmus thing. You think when he's talking to Bruce, Bruce just looked at him like, been there, done that. you know,
Yeah.
someone did that with
100
me. Oh no, he doesn't even know he has a
yeah.
baby in that universe yet. He's good, man. Clark is gonna be like, hey, I got
Hey,
you. You want me to be there for you?
yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, oh, man. Brucey, Brucey, what are
See,
we
that's
gonna
why we
do
need
with
a
you?
season 5 of Young Justice because I want that all that shit wrapped up. God damn, I want to see Jason again. Give me Under the Red Hood, but in Young Justice. God damn it. All right,
I confession time, I need to finish Young Justice. I've seen the first, like, 3 seasons?
all right. I spoiled the shit
2?
out of season 4.
3? It's fine. I know the gist of where they were heading.
That's also they're
Uh,
not coming back. Thanks,
yeah,
Dave
it's
Zaslav.
fine.
Go fuck yourself. God, I do.
But yeah, fun times.
Yeah,
Anyways, shout out to the Teen Titans slash Young Justice animated universe. That's a fun time.
that is fun.
Love it so dearly.
All right, moving on from me, my notes. I do love the opening credits come back with the Jim Lee art. I thought that was a pretty cool touch.
Oh, I had a note about that.
Yeah,
It looks really familiar to somebody's intro.
yeah,
Copycat Smudge. Did they
yeah.
steal this from us? Yeah, that's totally how time works. Anyways,
Yeah, they went to
I'm
the
saying we
future,
did it first.
went to Nova Scotia, and watched this poor Canadian just draw the shit out over how long she did it. Like it was like 6 hours, right?
Decade.
It was like 4 hours or some
It
shit.
was of like footage. It was like
Yeah.
4 hours of footage. It took her way longer. But yeah, no, I it did crack me up that I was like, hey, we have an intro that looks like that.
Now, legally, we can't comment on who was the chicken or the egg thing. It's the chicken or the egg thing. Who
Mhm.
knows?
Yeah.
2013 versus
Blame
2025. Who knows?
the yeah, the Speed Force.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucks
Who knows?
everything up.
Exactly. I've had this side because they're not that high up when they start making out.
Uh-huh.
I was like, can you imagine just looking in the sky, the Acropolis, and just seeing Superman and Wonder Woman making out?
Yeah, that uh-huh. I'm sure a lot of people would have feelings about that.
Yeah. I would have to like, well, it depends because this is early in the Justice League, so I'm sure a lot of people are still afraid, like, oh, they're strong. Like they don't know how
Mhm.
nice Superman is. There's gotta be someone like, yo, get a room.
Yeah. This is 2015. This is like Twitter's at its height, like, people would be posting, like, photos of that
Mhm.
immediately, and, like, all of the news for, like, a week was like, "Where were you when you saw
To make
the
it out,
2 of
yeah.
them making out?"
The new couple in Earth. It's
Mhm.
like stupid
Yeah.
scandalous shit like that.
Fucking
Um,
Teen Vogue thought think pieces on it.
yep. A BuzzFeed listicle.
Oh, yeah. Oh, BuzzFeed would be all over that shit.
Uh-huh.
They would do a, uh, what is it called? A BuzzFeed quiz about, like,
Which Justice League
which
member
member of the Justice League.
you're always disappointed if you're Green Lantern.
Oh, yeah. Sorry,
that
Hal.
guy's that guy's an idiot. Yeah, he is. Um, speaking, I do love how stupid he is in this.
Oh,
I love it.
we got
Also,
another spooky. Love it.
yeah, Call of Spooky. That was really good. Listen, no knock to the previous actor who played him in Justice League War. It's just Nathan Fillion just needs to be a lantern. Like that's just,
Yep.
uh, and unfortunately we're not gonna get him as Hal in the live action universe, but we're getting him as like the second best as Guy Gardner. Him as Guy
Love that for
Gardner is
him.
gonna be so inspired, and that movie's not even out. We have months ahead of us before that movie's out, and I already know he's gonna steal the goddamn show with like the 2 scenes he's in as Green Lantern and that dumbass bowl cut. But he's gonna be so good. But like, there's something about Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern, it just makes sense. Um, I love Diana and Lois's interaction in here.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
Oh,
are
that
you
dinner
like,
scene
it's
was
a
iconic.
diplomat thing? Like, no, this is a date. Like, we after this, we're gonna fuck. Like, and Lois is like, oh, Smallville, you gotta take people like a diplomat in the better places. Like, shit on him. Uh, I love it. I love it. Um, Wait, I love the Scarecrow's like henchmen, like thinking they were gonna fight Batman. What the
Yeah.
fuck did you think was gonna happen? You're either gonna fight Nightwing,
Yeah.
who's gonna treat you nice and probably take you to the hospital,
Mhm.
Batman, who's gonna like injure you pretty bad, or the crazy one with the fucking sword that's 10 years old.
Well, if you're signing up to work for the Scarecrow, you think you're probably gonna deal with, like, somebody's fucking goons. Like, you're gonna deal with, like, the Joker gang or, like, Blast
No.
Mask's goons or, like, Falcone's people. Like, you're not thinking big picture. You're like, why the fuck would Batman care about a low level goon? Which is your first mistake, but nobody claimed these guys were intelligent. And of all the people to work for, like, yeah, like the chemicals around Scarecrow kind of sucks. Like, that'd be miserable. But, like, of all of them, I'd take the nerdy scientist. Why not?
Yeah, I feel like it's easy to stay on his good side, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, you're
Joker
not
could snap at
afraid for
any
your
minute.
life. Any moment. No
Yep.
warning. You'll just be dead.
A flip of the coin with Two-Face, you're like, I don't know if I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna live or die right now. You know, like
Right.
this, it all depends on how that fucking coin drops. And he
Fucking
still might want to kill
Sionis
me,
is
but it
just
wouldn't happen.
batshit.
Yeah, he is just bad shit. Like, you're definitely gonna die for
Right.
no reason. He's just gonna punch the shit out of you for no reason too. Um, we were talking about how nerdy the league was, and to piggyback off that,
Mhm.
they have this whole like crime scene investigating thing with like a whiteboard, and they're
Oh,
trying
with
to
the
figure out. Yeah,
hologram, like
yeah. They're like, oh, what do you see
poor
here?
Victor
Like,
got the shit beat out of him twice.
yeah, it did. And he's like, all right, show me what you did. And I love that Batman's like, it felt like watching House. You know how he's like
Yeah.
egging people on, like, oh, what is it? Lupus? Is it this? Is that?
Uh-huh.
You're like, all right, what do you see here? It's like, oh, they did a barrel roll. It's like, oh, they did. Barry making fun. Oh, they did a barrel roll. Shut up.
It was
Oh
great. It was
God.
very funny. Very, very comedic writing in there.
I didn't like the mutton chops on Aquaman. I thought that was a
Mm.
choice.
It was a choice. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was a
it was a
bold
choice of
choice.
2015. That was
Yeah.
yeah. Um, what did I do love the Aquaman suit. I don't care how goofy it
Mhm.
could be. The color scheme, the orange and the green, it's perfect. It's a great suit.
The orange and the
Um,
green slaps. And I don't even fuck with orange like that. Like,
mhm.
well, one of my least favorite colors, but something about balancing it with the scales and the green pants.
Especially when it
It's
looks
a
like
classic. It's
armor
iconic.
and not just like a suit. When it
Yeah.
looks like armor, it looks cool.
Right.
It does look cool.
Mhm.
So it looks good on Momoa too when they did live action. That was a choice, and when they did, I was like, oh, that's a good choice. That does look really good.
It's also
Um,
fun when he's just shirtless with, like, a fucking cape or whatever, like,
yeah, that
sure,
looks
why
cool
not?
too. Yeah,
But
it also makes sense. Both of them make sense because it's such a
right,
weird, real
both
universe.
work.
Um, but the only way to flirt with Mera is to offer her to fight. I did
Mhm.
love that. Oh, Hal made a giant robot that did vacuum cleaning. They just sucked him up and they shot him out the back of
Oh,
the robot.
Roomba.
I fucking love that thing. I was like, that's just he's like, "Doo, doo, doo, doo." Like he looked like he was having way too fun with that.
Nerds.
Yeah. Um, I didn't put this in drama class, but one of my favorite lines is Banta kind of telling his old big bad guy thing, like I manipulated everything and all this stuff. And he goes to Ormy, like, frankly, he irks the shit out of me. Great line.
Yeah,
Great line delivery.
that was a good one.
And yeah, finally I did love that Aquaman, you know, all these people like did Batman's got batarangs, Cyborg changes his hands and weapons, Superman's got all these powers, Arrow's got all these powers, and Aquaman's not used to, first of all, he doesn't have the trident, so he has no magic.
Right.
He also is like just getting used to real fighting and he just punched people. That's it. Super hard.
Sucker punch.
That's it. Merry Christmas. You get hands for Christmas. That's it. That's what you get.
Ayo.
But yeah, there like little things like that stuck out
Mhm.
to me in the episode.
I feel
Uh
like I've become way higher on this movie over the, past, like, 40 minutes of us talking about it. 50 minutes? I don't
Listen,
know, time to
I
swing.
like it. It's just, you
It's
know,
great, it's just forgettable.
it
Like,
is,
I'm not gonna
yeah.
remember this in a week, let alone 3 days.
Yeah, no, there's definitely more like memorable movies when you watch these movies. And you're like, hey, that's not, that's not saying this is again, this is a good movie. It's a very good movie. It's just all things considered, you're like, there's there's other stuff I can watch. um, so moving on, we are gonna go into lost my notes in a drama class. Holdover from MC University, where we talk about some scenes and act them out. We picked two here. We can start with the short one. I'm also trying to figure out the next one, but I can do the first one. This is Superman, and then we'll
Yeah,
figure out.
take it.
We got like 4 or 5 characters in the third, in the second one. All right, this is Superman talking to Aquaman about whether he should be part of Atlantis. I'm the sole survivor of my planet. If I had a chance to save my world and meet one of my own race, even for a moment, that would be enough. And then immediately Hamilton started playing in my head. I was like, oh yeah, and then I just started singing that for a minute.
Yeah, it looks like for the second one, if one person is Orm and one person is literally everybody else, it should work out.
Okay. I'll be Orm. Do you want to be Mera
Okay,
and
I'll be
Aquaman?
all the bit parts. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
All right. Oh, Cyborg's playing the footage of Ocean Master confessing again. Ocean Master. Anyways,
Yeah.
why is that? Anyway, okay. Confessing to his crimes, and she goes, "You killed her."
I did. I ran the sword through her myself, and she mewed for peace. You can count yourself fortunate, bastard. At least she was no longer to be the impediment to your life as she was to mine.
Cuts to the
Yeah.
real Orm.
What is this?
Orm killed our queen? We are betrayed.
No, wait. This deception is their surface magic.
I was there when Orm boasted of the murder of our queen. It was as you see.
I am your king. I did this for you.
Is this the king you want, Atlanteans? A coward who lies to you? You need a light to guide you in the darkness, people of Atlantis. My people.
Hell yeah. What a good
Good
scene.
for you.
What a good scene. Oh, you know what was bothering me? I had to look it up while we were talking. I was like, who voices Manta in this? It was bothering me so much. I was like, the voice sounds so familiar. He is named Harry Lennox. Very incredible actor. Incredible actor. But he has a tie to the Snyderverse, and he played General Swanwick in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. And in the Zack Snyder cut is revealed he is John Jones, the Martian Manhunter.
Uh,
So they were setting up him as
love
the
that for
Master
him.
Manhunter in the next Justice League
I
movie.
love
He's a great actor.
John Jones.
Yeah, Harry
That's
Lennox,
one of those
fucking great
random
dude.
characters that like every time every portrayal of him it just like
Good, never wrong.
hits you right in the feels.
Mm-hmm. Never a bad portrayal. That's another one. All right, moving on to quiz time. I got a softball question for you. This is a softball. Just lob it up. You're gonna knock it out the park. So, Matt Lantern, who plays Aquaman, and Sam Witwer, who plays Orm, are brothers in this, but they played two prominent characters in a very popular sci-fi animated show. What is the show, and who are their characters?
Well, sci-fi.
I guess fantasy, you can call it too. It's more sci-fi.
Well, okay, I know Matt Lantern in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Does that count?
Yes, it is Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the show we're talking about.
Okay. Well, I know who he plays. You said they're prominent characters.
Yes.
Who are prominent characters that this guy would play? Who is really imposing? The Darth Maul.
Yeah. Yeah, it is Darth Maul.
I was just trying to think of a similar, like, voice type, like, who the fuck would, like, a
Yep.
person who played Wormplay in
Other than
that
being
show?
like
Oh,
stoic,
shout
he
out to the
also
spider
screams,
legs.
"Get
Love
away!"
that.
His main screaming line.
Iconic. Yeah,
Yeah, I heard Sam
I
Witwer
don't
and
know
I was
why
like, "Oh shit."
sci I don't know why sci-fi tripped me up so badly
I
on
guess,
that.
yeah, I guess a lot of people don't really consider it sci-fi. It's more fantasy, which makes sense. It just happens to be
It's a space
spaceships.
opera.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair, fair, fair. Sam Witwer also, this is not a quiz time thing. We talked about Smallville a shitload in this episode. Also plays
Uh-huh.
Doomsday in Smallville.
Interesting.
He has like a
That man
human
has
component.
really interesting eyebrows.
He's handsome. He's like handsome on a Wentworth Miller scale. He's just not,
Mm,
unfortunately, straight. He's
he's
unfortunately
not
straight.
quite doing it for me, and it might
Mhm.
be the straight energy I'm getting on these.
Yeah, it's like the unfortunate. It's like, oh man, I wish you were gay. He's like, ah, I'm not.
Mhm.
Sorry. I said, no, I get it. I get it. It's fine.
That's fine. You know,
We always have Wentworth Miller.
we do. We always have one word.
All right.
Anyways,
Moving on to Homeroom, one of our final sections here. Final thoughts, Sly, on this movie?
final thoughts. This was the fun time. I think if you don't try to think about it too hard, this is like a good to great movie,
Mhm.
right? You could put it on in the background and just have it playing. Like if you're like, I don't know, hosting a game night and you're like playing cards or something and it's not something people have to pay attention to and you
Yeah.
like throw it up on like the projector or whatever. I'm speaking like I A host game nights or
Yes.
B have
Have a
like
projector.
room and space and a projector. Anyways, but I can see the vision of like being in like a den around a like board game table playing cards with this like projected on the wall nearby, and I think that would be a great vibe. That would be a fun time.
Hmm.
Like you said, it's really forgettable. I have, you know, I'm not sure I'll remember this in a couple weeks. And I don't think it really has much impact on the universe going forward
No.
either. Like it just kind of exists. And what I would really want from like if we're telling an Atlantean tale, I want a nitty-gritty like crown like drama around like the like politics and like socioeconomic like inner workings of running a country, especially one like Atlantis. I think that would be a great time. Are
Yeah.
we ever gonna get that in this universe? God no.
No,
But that's what
you
I
want
would
Game of
have wanted from
Thrones. That's what you want. You want Game of Thrones meets Atlantis, which I don't blame you. That would be fucking awesome.
Mhm.
Um, I agree. This is a very forgettable. This is something, we talk about, one of my best friends, Joey. I talk about him a lot. He's a big DC fan, specifically Jason Todd. So you guys share that.
Mhm.
Um, this is something I could be like, hey, Joe, you should watch this. You know, uh, I would recommend you watch this. Like, I think you would have a good time with it. I don't think you would be bored by it. Um, I think overall, I think he would come out the same way where he'd be like, oh, that was, hey, and it waste my time. It was an hour 15. It was good.
Exactly.
I really enjoyed it. But it is overall forgettable. Like it doesn't really hold an impact to anything we get really, from my understanding, other than introducing Aquaman as a character, Mera as a character, all these like heavy hitters within the DC universe. Um,
Right.
I
Yeah,
would
they
suggest
threw a lot of people at us,
yes, yes, yeah, there
but
was a lot. I would suggest honestly picking up the trade paperback.
mm,
I think maybe reading it might be a little better. I think there's a lot obviously you're missing out because you're not getting, why is Hal not on the Justice League team at this moment? Like, all right, well, that's because he's dealing with his own shit there. They kind of do a pretty good job of like, hey, why is Barry not here? Well, this is why Barry's not here. Why is Hal not here? This is why Barry, Hal's not here. They tell you why these characters aren't here. Also, you're dealing with characters at this point in the New 52 Justice League War storyline or origin for the first volume of that book takes place at the beginning of this, DC universe, and then it jumps 5 years. So they've been a team for 5 years at this point. This is like a couple months
right.
for them, and they're dealing with this shit,
Mhm.
and it shows. for
Yeah.
better or worse. Like I think it
Nobody responds to the fucking
yeah,
summons. Like,
exactly. Yeah, there's so many like little things like that, and I think it does a good job of setting up what we have in this world of DCAMU. You know, their version of the New 52, but it is overall forgettable. Again, if you weren't you like, I'm a diehard, I'm gonna watch everything that's DC related. Yeah, you're not gonna be disappointed by this movie. It's a good movie. Um, but if you're like, I kind of just want to watch, you know, Flashpoint Paradox, Justice League War, you know, Batman, you know, or Son of Batman, and like move on.
mhm,
Okay, yeah, you can skip this one. That's fine. Not a big deal. Um, it does its job of introducing characters and having like some cool action points, but other than that, honestly forgettable. And we, you know, the correlation that we always give, especially coming from like you know, MC University, this being the spiritual successor, and talking about like the MCU directly. There's a lot of movies that are MCU related that are just like there. You know, they're not
yeah.
bad. They're not Thor: The Dark World, you know, and they're not, you know, what was it, Ragnarok. You know, thinking about Thor's right.
Mm,
You're thinking
mhm,
just right in the
yeah,
middle of the road. Um, that's where this is. This is like, hey, are you gonna
mhm,
watch this and you had a good time? Hell yeah, you're gonna have a good time. Do you need to? No, it's fine. You can skip it. It's
yeah,
not that big of a deal. You can watch a recap somewhere else. you know,
mhm,
or watch this. We'll recap it for you. Like that's
right.
spend your time
We
watching
gave you
us.
all the important things. Couple
Exactly.
tangents in there, but it's fine.
Exactly. But yeah, the movie's okay. It's all right. It's
Mhm.
nothing to, you know, call home about. Now, for me, wrapping up the episode, what I'm excited for, because I haven't seen this and I'm really interested in watching this, especially it being a Court of Owls storyline. Our homework for next week and yours is Batman versus Robin. Never seen this before, so I'm very
Wouldn't
excited.
say it's I wouldn't say it's a Court of Owls
They,
story.
they just happen to play a part in it
It has Court of Owls character. I don't want you to get excited about like the mystery, intrigue, suspense like you get
with those characters,
in
like the Court of Owls
yeah,
specifically. Oh, okay.
yeah. Again, like what I really want from this universe is a real Court of Owls like following that run story, and we don't get that with this. We do get they dip their toes in,
Okay.
and I think I haven't seen it in years. I enjoyed it when I watched it last. That's all I'll say.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, that's your homework and ours. Batman versus Robin. Where's it streaming? I think Max.
We'll see.
You know, also that can change at the drop of a dime, so that's not fair to us or you.
Right.
Uh, who knows?
I specifically a little behind the scenes. So when we created the spreadsheet for MC University, we listed all the places every movie was streaming. Uh, but by the time we got to a majority of them, had either changed platforms, was completely wrong, or had been completely like taken off streaming
Yeah.
entirely at that point. So I just said, we'll figure it out as we go. We'll find it when we find it.
Hey, let me tell you, the 2 seconds I took to look it up, it ain't streaming anywhere. So, sale those
All right.
seven scenes or
Well,
have a
we'll find
box
it.
set. Who knows? Do you? I'm not condoning anything of
Mhm.
whatsoever. You know, I'm just saying pirates are really cool. One Piece is awesome. Just saying.
Make your own choices.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make your own choices. Yeah, you're a grown ass person. You know, or if you're not, I don't know, get your parents' credit card and like, well, maybe not. No, I'm not gonna do. I'm not that
Yeah,
chaotic. I'm
let's
not Greg
let's
Miller
not
chaotic.
endorse that.
Yeah,
If you're not an adult, can you also email us a signed permission form from your parents? These are marked explicit, by the way.
yeah, they
Uh,
are. They are, and we do. We talk about throuples, bottoms. It's a weekly
yeah, we talk
occurrence.
about a lot of yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot of gay stuff in this one.
sexual
Yeah,
yeah, we're gay. It's
yeah.
fine.
This show is very gay. It's very gay. Yeah, you
DC
know,
graduates. Tagline. Very
very
gay.
gay. Yeah, that's our new slogan. Yeah. All right.
All right.
As we finish up this episode, Sly, where can people find you?
You know where you can find us? I never plug it. We have an email. dcgradspod@gmail.com, I think. I should have checked that before I said it out loud.
That
I'm
sounds right.
I'm 99% sure. dcgradspod@gmail.com. email us. Let us know you're listening. Give us your thoughts. If you have a personal, like, you want to write up a summary, plot recap for any of
Oh,
our future
yes.
movies, email it to us.
I love
We'll get
that.
that shit up. Love that so
Yeah.
much. That's it. That's where you can find me right now.
Yeah. Yeah. As always, you can find me here at youtube.com/point of progress where we do DC graduates. And you can find those on audio platforms everywhere as well where you can listen. You can find me here doing It's Not a Loop, It's a Quantum Break. We are wrapping up season 2 of It's Not a Loop, our Remedyverse playthrough series with Quantum Break. As of recording this, I got one more episode to film, but I mean, as it posts, I think all the episodes should be out or episode 4 is out. So yeah, check that out. And then as well, check out season 1, which is really cool. We did all Alan Wake
Mhm.
remastered and Alan Wake American Nightmare. And then you can find me at youtube.com/nerdaday where I got my own personal stuff that again ramping up very soon. With that, hopefully, should have some episodes out by the time this is out. Who knows? And then me, Frank, and Harv from Point of Progress do another show called Chaos Bringers, a Final Fantasy retrospective podcast series that might be relaunching video wise somewhere else. We talking about that, so that might appear somewhere that has like 540, subscribers. So there's more eyes on it because I think it needs more eyes. But who knows? Who knows? But yeah. Till next time, class is dismissed.
Bye.